Welcome to the Conscious Kinky Podcast, where we explore sexuality, connection, and power through awareness and intentional choice.
At the Kink Collective, we help people reframe their relationship with sexuality, build deeper connections, and become safe spaces in the world.
Each episode invites reflection, not performance.
And the conversation continues inside Conscious Conversations, our live community space. Welcome to the conversation.
The thing you rely on to feel safe is the exact thing keeping you from actually feeling it.
What if control isn't helping you relax, but keeping your body in a constant state of management?
Because most people don't feel safe. Most people feel in control. And those are not the same thing.
Control can look like having the right words ready, knowing what's going to happen next, staying one step ahead, and managing how other people respond to you. But safety doesn't need all of that.
And that's what we're getting into today. Not control as a personality trait, not control as some villain, but control as a strategy, a protection, a substitute. And what happens when you substitute, what happens with that substitute starts costing you real connection.
Welcome to the Conscious Kinky Podcast. I'm Kat.
And I'm Joshua.
This podcast exists because so many people want deeper relationships, more honest connection, and a better understanding of themselves. But they don't always have a place to actually practice that.
The podcast is here to help people think differently about connection, truth, boundaries, awareness, desire, and relationships. And Conscious Conversations exist so that you can actually work with those ideas in real time. Not just hear them, not just agree with them, not just collect language, but practice.
And while some of our work uses kink as a lens, what we're really talking about is deeply human. How do I trust my body? How do I stop repeating patterns? How do I slow down enough to see what's real and build connection without abandoning myself?
This month is about safety. And last week we talked about what safety actually feels like in the body. This week we're getting more precise. Because once you start paying attention to safety, you start realizing how often you've been substituting it with control. There was a period in my life where I thought I was steady. I thought I was grounded. I thought I was leading well. I thought I was clear. Underneath that, there was a part of me that only relaxed when I could predict the room. When I knew what was coming, when I knew how I'd be received, that I had space there, when I had already run the conversation in my head beforehand, it helped. And because that pattern lived in me so deeply, I didn't feel like fear. It felt like competence. It felt like leadership. It felt like being prepared. It felt like maturity. But really, it was a nervous system that didn't trust uncertainty.
And I think that's an important distinction, because a lot of people hear control and immediately think of someone domineering, rigid, or obviously overbearing. But control can be much quieter than that. It can look like over-explaining, or softening yourself so that no one gets upset, or saying yes too quickly so that tension goes away. Rehearsing conversations before they happen, trying to manage how you're being perceived. Becoming hyper competent so that no one sees your uncertainty. And all of that can look very functional from the outside.
Exactly. Which is why this topic matters. Because some of the most socially rewarded behaviors are actually protective control strategies. And if you don't see them clearly, you'll keep calling them strength when they're really survival.
And the cost of that gets subtle. Because you can still have relationships, you can still have closeness, you can still have people around you, right? But you don't actually feel at ease. You don't feel open. You don't feel soft. You don't feel like you can just be there. There's always a layer of management underneath it.
And if your body's always managing, it's never fully receiving, which means you can spend a lot of your life looking connected without actually feeling connected.
Let's define the difference more clearly, right? Control says, I feel okay because I know what's happening. Safety says, I feel okay even if I don't.
Control is built around managing the outside. Safety is about what's happening on the inside. Control says, I need certainty. I need predictability. I need the right response. I need to know how this ends. Safety says, I can stay present. I can tell the truth. I can pause. I can remain in contact with myself even if the moment is unclear.
That's why control feels so convincing, because it gives you immediate relief. If I control the tone, I feel less exposed. If I can control the outcome, I feel less anxious. If I control how I'm seen, then I feel less vulnerable. But relief is not always the same as safety.
Sometimes relief is just a temporary lowering of anxiety. That's tough. And if the only way you can lower anxiety is by controlling the environment, then you haven't actually built safety. You've built dependency on management.
It's survival mode. That's the hard truth in this episode, right? A lot of people are not calm. They are managed. A lot of people aren't grounded. They are tightly organized around not feeling too much. A lot of people aren't safe. They're just very practiced at controlling the variables.
Yeah, those are some good. I actually had a conversation with someone about leadership and management, how they're not the same thing. That's a whole different discussion. And the reason why this matters in relationships is because control changes the quality of connection. If I'm controlling, I'm not fully listening, I'm not fully receiving, I'm not fully revealing. I'm not really allowing the other person to show me who they are, because part of me is still trying to shape what happens.
People feel that. They may not use the word control, but they feel pressure, tightness, expectation, over-attunement, over-functioning, and a lack of ease, right? Even if everything sounds kind and looks polished.
Yeah. And this is why control can quietly kill intimacy. Not because it's cruel, but because it blocks spontaneity, it blocks honesty, it blocks real-time responsiveness. You're no longer in connection, you're in management. Now let's apply the framework. Not to define it again, but to use it, because this is where the framework becomes practical. We're going to start with I, introspection. Control often begins before the interaction even starts. If I'm not checking in with myself, I won't know whether I'm moving toward connection from curiosity, if it's coming from availability, honesty, or if it's coming from anxiety, fear of being misunderstood, fear of losing connection, fear of not being chosen. And if I skip introspection, I'm much more likely to call urgency readiness.
So one of the real questions here is, what am I actually needing before I start trying to manage the moment? Am I needing reassurance? Am I needing certainty? Am I needing to feel chosen? That one gets me. Am I needing to feel impressive? Because if I don't know that, control becomes my unconscious strategy. C is for container. This is where a lot of people confuse structure with control, but they're not the same. Control tries to remove uncertainty by force. Container gives enough clarity that people can relax into honesty. Control says, I need this to go a certain way. Container says, here's what's happening, here's what's not happening, here's how we can slow down if we need.
That's a big deal, right? Being able to slow that down. And it's a big difference as well. Because control is about gripping, container is about support. Control says, don't move. Container says, we both know where we are. And people often control where they actually, and people often use control where they actually need a clear container. Following that is authenticity. Control often hides authenticity because when I'm controlling, I'm usually trying to present the version of myself that feels safest to be. The version that feels polished. It feels clear. It feels composed, easy, competent. But authenticity might sound more like, I'm not sure, or I need a moment. I feel myself trying to manage this right now. It feels like part of me wants to say yes quickly, but I need to slow down.
And that's why authenticity can feel more vulnerable than control. Because control protects image. Authenticity risks being seen. So V is vulnerability. A lot of people think that vulnerability just means sharing more. But in this context, vulnerability may simply mean not managing the moment into safety. It may mean saying, I don't know, or I'm activated, or I want to answer this quickly, but that wouldn't be honest. That's vulnerability. Not collapse, not oversharing, just telling the truth before control takes over.
S is for safety. And now we get the whole point of the whole episode. Safety is not the reward you get after perfect control. Safety is the condition that lets control soften. And if you can't let control soften, then somewhere in you, safety is not present. It doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It means there's more truth available than you've been allowing.
So now let's bring in MISS. Because control doesn't just affect what happens inside you, it affects how quickly and how carelessly connection moves. So meet. If I'm controlling, I'm not meeting naturally. I'm not asking, how does this feel? I'm asking, how do I make this go well? That changes everything.
Yeah, it does.
Because now I'm no longer gathering information, I'm trying to manage the impression.
Yeah, that's huge, huge. So we're going to step into invest. Control hates investment because investment takes time. We were talking about this the other night in our call. What do I skip? This is one of them. And time reveals reality. If I'm controlling, I often want speed, quick reassurance, quick certainty, quick closeness. Because speed helps me avoid sitting in uncertainty. But investment is exactly where discernment lives. And control wants to skip discernment because discernment might interrupt momentum. I feel guilty as charged.
So share information, right? Control can distort this stage too. Instead of sharing information to build clarity, people may overshare to create premature closeness, over-explain to avoid misunderstanding, present a polished version of themselves to manage perception. That's not information in service to trust. That's information in service of control.
Next is share experience. And this is where things often accelerate way too fast. Guilty. Guilty. Control can rush experience because experience creates momentum. And momentum can temporarily quiet anxiety. But just because something is moving doesn't mean it's aligned. This is one of the deepest truths in our framework. Access is not automatic. It's earned through clarity and it's earned through alignment. And if control is present, people often grant access too quickly in order to feel temporary relief. Guilty as charged. So now we bring it back to you, not as theory, as lived pattern. Because if this episode lands, it'll probably land in one of two ways. Either you recognize where other people have controlled around you, or you'll recognize where you do it yourself.
And both matter. Because the goal here isn't shame, right? The goal is honesty. Because control isn't the enemy. unseen control is. So we're going to walk through the 8 questions for this week. Take your time with them. Pause this if you need to. Spend about 3 minutes with each question to start. And then come back in a day or two and deepen your answers. Because your first answer might be intellectual. The deeper one will usually be more true.
Yeah. So let's set with our first set of questions. Awareness and orientation. Where do I feel the need to control outcomes in order to relax? Let's start with conversations you try to steer. Look at reactions you try to manage. Situations where uncertainty makes you tense. Where does control become your version of calm?
I do this a lot, I think. Just like you guys, we process this in real time. And I think I do try to control outcomes, especially when I get nervous, especially when I get a little bit activated, rather than pausing and asking myself, how am I feeling? Why am I feeling this way? What is it about the situation that I need to be more aware of? I go into what about this situation can I try to manage or influence or control so that I feel better? And you're right, and it pulls me right out of being present, being able to take in the person that I'm with, being able to really listen, because I've got all this stuff going on in my head.
Yeah. Where do I feel the need to control outcomes in order to relax?
The odd thing, too, is that while I'm doing all that, I'm not relaxing.
Yeah.
I just think I'm feeling better, but I'm actually pretty hyped up.
Where do I feel I need to control outcomes in order to relax? I think it's when I'm doing sessions. I think it's like, because one, I want the person to get what they asked for. Because if not, it'll make me feel like I didn't do my job. So it's like if I can control the outcome, then I don't have to worry about if I'm good enough. Right? You saw it here first. Yeah, and it's like...
But isn't there always a part of us that is afraid we're not good enough? That's a universal struggle, I believe.
So yeah, I think if I go in trying to problem solve, I'm going in trying to control outcomes. When it comes to conversations, sometimes when people are lost in like whatever their thought is, it's like if I can control the outcome, then everything will be okay. Reactions I try to manage, situations where uncertainty makes me tense. Yeah, definitely in sessions. Definitely in sessions. Where does control become your version of calm? Because if I can get a person to where they need to be, then I've done well.
All right, so question 2. What do I do when I don't know what's going to happen next? Do you tighten and overthink? Become more agreeable? Become quieter? Oops. Try to fix things quickly? What is your default when certainty disappears? So as you could tell from the become quieter, I feel called out. Because that's one of the things I do when I don't know what's going to happen next and I get uncertain. Uncertainty will make me get quiet. And that's part of how I control, right? How I try to control what's happening by getting really quiet and being hypervigilant about the situation so that I can try to anticipate what's going to happen next when I don't know what's going to happen next.
Yeah. When certainty disappears, I think the circumstances differ, right? I think depending on what is weighing on the outcome, like if it's like the big career thing, it's like, I'm gonna shit myself. That's my default. Is I shit myself. Anxiety, in some cases. Or I get quiet and I observe. But it all depends on what the outcome determines, the severity of the outcome. Because if it's light uncertainty, like if it's a movie that I'm watching, I'm, oh my God, what happens next? I'm okay. As long as it's not altering my life.
Right. Or your relationships.
Or my relationships, right? So it's like, if it's that though, depending on the severity of the outcome depends on how I'll respond.
Yeah.
But if it's bad, if it's a big, if there's a lot of weight to it, I also get irritable. I can, because I'm waiting, I'm bracing. That's what it is. I'm bracing. So anything that can be disturbing irritates me, and I can be reactive to that.
Insightful.
Yeah. Let me look at the question one more time. What do I do when I don't know what's going to happen next? It really depends, because sometimes I just don't give a shit. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, it's let's see what happens.
And that's not a bad thing.
No.
Yeah.
No, but like, fuck it, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
In a lot of it.
Yeah.
Unless there's a lot weighing on it. And then, then I shit myself.
And there you have it.
Yeah, no, that's the irritability part. That's the very sensitive to fucking everything, because I'm hyper vigilant now.
It's the hypervigilance, right? So question number 3, where do I confuse predictability with safety? Just because something is familiar does not mean that it's good for you. When you have stayed in something because it was known and not because it actually, or where have you stayed in something because it was known and not because it actually felt safe? We were talking about this last night, right? We're talking about, being in relationships. We're talking about being in relationships even like with narcissists, right? Being in places where we're not safe, but we learn to roll with the punches, or there's a certain predictability in the chaos that you learn. And so staying feels safer than, well, what am I going to do if I go out there again in the world? Like, what's going to happen? Who am I going to meet? How's it going to happen? Am I going to be alone? So sometimes staying with the devil you know seems safer than the devil you don't. But sometimes it's not safe at all.
Yeah, because what the question's asking, where do I confuse predictability with safety? It's like the devil on the other side. That's the uncertainty.
Right.
Right? But the question is safety. Not the unknown, but real safety. And that's where, if I'm not reading this, I wouldn't realize that I would potentially miss out on the signal of safety existing. Right? So where do I confuse predictability with safety? And what I mean by that is not what's not predictable, not the opposite of what's happening, but legit safety.
Yeah.
Like where I don't have to predict patterns because it's safe. It's like when a person walks in here, you're safe here, right? You don't have to worry about fucking anything. You can sit there and you can just not do anything for your entire time and just be okay.
Yeah.
Versus, I went to this one play party once and this happened, so I'm gonna come here and if, depending on what's going on, depends on how I'm, none of that. It's just safety, right? So I confuse predictability with safety when I have certainty.
Right. I think the trick here for me is if I check in with myself, if I use these tools, if I use the introspection and the vulnerability and stay present, then I can be safe without the predictability.
Well, it's like my last relationship years ago, right? It was like the safety was in the predictability that I had a place to live, regardless of what I was doing to myself, regardless of what I wasn't sharing, how I wasn't showing up for myself. I had a place to eat, I had a place to sleep, right? So it's like, it wasn't actually safe because I was muting myself. I was slowly dying internally. But the predictability was I had a place to sleep and I had a place to eat, right? So that's where I've stayed in something that it wasn't because it was actually safe, it was because I had a place to sleep and eat.
Which was a predictability, which is a type of predictability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a year ago, we did this TikTok live every day, right? A year ago, maybe longer than that.
A year ago, August, where we did the 30-day challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a year ago.
A year and a
August.
half ago then.
Yeah, a year and a half ago.
Wow. And we had questions similar to this where they were heavy hidden questions.
Yeah. And if those of you who were with us, we were processing that stuff in real time.
Yeah. So this question feels like one of those. Question 4. What version of myself shows up when I feel out of control? Do I become more dominant, more polished? Do I become more quiet, more reactive, more accommodating? Who do you become when you can't manage the moment?
So for me, straight up, I become more quiet and I become more accommodating. I can definitely identify with that. When I can't control the situation or I can't manage the moment and I get uncertain and uncomfortable, I get quiet and I get very agreeable. I go into trying to make sure everybody feels okay and everybody feels good or whatever's happening. I just want to smooth things over. I want everybody to be okay. I don't want anybody's feathers to be ruffled. And to the degree that I'm doing that, I'm pulled away from myself. I don't really know how I'm doing or what I need or what I want in the moment. I am just busy managing everybody and everything so that everything can be okay.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Let me go back to the question. What version of myself shows up when I feel out of control? I'm more accommodating would be how I would step in, because then I would have some resemblance of control, right, in participation versus just being a passenger in it. And I think that would be a way that gives me some sort of control in what I'm doing in all of that. Because when I see more dominant in an area that I don't have control, that's like domineering. That's like, as how I think about that is wanting to take space or control because I feel out of it. Have you seen me do that? Mama, you see me do that, Mama?
Maybe.
No, really?
I wasn't going to say it, but...
Mama, really?
Yeah, sometimes you manage harder. You take control, the drill instructor comes out.
Oh, that's fair. Well, here we are. Yeah, really?
You heard it here first.
Really, Mama?
Yeah, not all the time. Sometimes. All right. So once you start to see how control is showing up, the next step is looking at the cost. Because control always gives something, but it also takes something.
Let's go into our second set of questions. Remember, answer these questions in a way where give yourself 3 minutes for each question, pause, and then go on to the next question. Come back in another day or two and flesh out the answers, because it'll give you more time to process. You'd be surprised how your answer changes too.
Yeah, and then come to the call on Tuesday and start sharing your information and answers with other people and listen to what they say and see how it changes, right?
Yeah, no, it's incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah. All right, so question number 5. What has my need for control cost me in connection or intimacy? Be honest. Has it cost you ease, softness, spontaneity, being fully seen, being fully met? Where has control kept you from actually connecting? For me, I want to say it's sort of all over the place. Because whenever I'm in this controlling mode, I can tell you that I'm not really connecting, I'm not really intimate. I know that people feel distanced from me. And as we're talking about it, it's almost comforting to identify that it's control, and that it's control in lieu of safety that makes me act like that, because I don't want to act like that. And the truth is I don't have to, right? I can be safe by just checking in with myself, because the truth is I can take care of myself. If something happens, if somebody's going to be a certain kind of way, I can walk away. I can be okay. I don't have to let the uncertainty of a situation flip me into control mode to try to protect myself. Like, it's old survival habits.
Yeah. As I'm reading the question, it's really hard for me to pinpoint something, because it's like I tell people, I will give you enough rope to either tie me or to hang yourself. Right? And it's like, sometimes though, as I'm reading some of these suggestions, sometimes it costs me softness, right? Because let's say, but then I feel like I've had to step into control if something was pushing up against my boundaries, or something was making me uneasy, or I wasn't happy with how things were going. So, like, I'd really have to think about, where have I found control? Oh, duh, in my power exchanges. Having to be right, ego stepping in, right? It's sometimes giving me a suggestion for something I'm doing is tough, because this is mine, right? And I'm doing this.
Don't I know?
So yeah, it costs me softness. It costs me, I think in some ways, trust, right? If I come off too abrasive, it's like, can I come to Joshua with something, or is this what gonna happen? Sorry to anyone that I've done that before. I realize that now.
Thank you.
Mama.
Well, we're nothing if not honest around here.
Yeah, no, it's then this is why this stuff matters, man. It's like thinking about these points out where I'm not showing up, where I could be showing up better.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the truth of it. It's like, wow, I'm doing that. And because I don't want to be that person, right? I don't want to be the one who like the energy exchange be reciprocal, but the safety be reciprocal too.
Yeah, I like that.
Right?
Yeah, I think the safer we can be, the safer we make it for the people around us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the safer I can be myself,
right,
in what I'm experiencing, makes it less turbulent for other people.
Yeah.
What has control kept me from actually connecting? Where has it? Yeah, I think that's one example. I also smell some fucking fried chicken. You smell that?
Something.
That smells so good. I'm so hungry. It's 8 o'clock in the morning when we're recording this for you guys and for us.
Right?
And for us.
All right, so question number 6. Where do I tighten instead of communicate? Instead of saying, I'm unsure, I need a moment, or this feels like a lot, where do you silently grip instead of speaking? All over the place. I have a hard time. It doesn't always occur to me that I can say, I'm unsure, or I need a moment. I do default to that thing where I feel like I need to look like I know everything. I need to look like I'm in charge or I'm in control. I don't want to be vulnerable enough to say, I don't know, or this is too much for me, or I need a moment. And yet when we talk about it, what's the big deal about doing it? Like, it's so much better to show up honestly for me than to hide behind the quiet, the controlling, right?
Yeah, as I'm reading that, it makes me think of, I tighten instead of communicate if I feel that I'm going to be told no. If there's going to be a rejection, if there's going to be something that says that's too much, or it's not enough.
Yeah.
So it's like, what do I do with it? What do I say with it?
Yeah.
For example, I tighten instead of communicating in needs, right? Asking for what I want. I'd just rather not say and hope you can read my mind. I was talking about this in the men's group. It's
the
like,
osmosis principle.
of course you can read my mind, can't you?
Right? If you love me.
If you know what I need.
Right? You know what I need.
And it cost me, wow, thank you. I'll reach out to you later. Yeah, it's funny because sometimes I'll phrase my ask in a question, right? And it's like, hey, Mom, are you thirsty?
I was just thinking, Mama, are you hungry?
Are you hungry?
Which is a telegraph for, I'm hungry, could you get me something to eat?
But
rather than ask for it, you ask me if I'm hungry.
Because it's like, I don't want to be that burden, right? But if you're hungry, I'll eat, right?
And it always gets him when I'm genuinely not hungry. It stops him dead in his tracks because he has nowhere to go from there.
Then I'll go, Mama. Yeah, but that's where I tighten. It's like, I don't want to be a burden. I don't want to be rejected. And it was the other one. What was the other one? Burden, inconvenience, and rejection. I'll just start with those. Yeah, and it's funny because, again, I don't want to be told no.
Yeah.
Because what does it mean? My world's going to explode if I'm told no. Right?
And that's always a good thing for me, is looking at what's behind the thing I'm afraid of. Or saying to myself, well, what would happen if that happened? What would be the worst thing that would happen if that happened? And sometimes that can get me through to the other side of acting a certain kind of way.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing for me.
All right, question 7. What would it look like to stay present without trying to manage the outcome? Not fix it, not guide it, not control it, just stay. What would that require from you?
It would require me first to remember that that's what I want to do, right? Anytime I'm trying to change a behavior, the biggest trick for me is to remember that that's what I'm doing, right? Is to be able to identify as early as I can when I'm starting to feel that need to control, when I'm starting to feel that pressure to try to fix something, change something, make something okay, to remember that that's not what I want to do anymore. What I want to do is slow down, check in with myself, see how I'm feeling, and then see how I need to show up, and then show up in a more receptive and curious way for the other person in the interaction, right? If someone's acting a certain kind of way that makes me feel uncertain or even unsafe, just looking at like, well, why might they be acting like that? Like asking myself that question. It would look like me staying open and curious. It would look like me staying not quiet in the activated way, but quiet in a listening way, quiet in a taking it in way, and just being present.
Yeah. What would it look like to stay present without trying to manage the outcome? I think a lot of, no, that's not true. I was going to say a lot of what I've shared isn't always happening for me. I'm not aware of it because I don't see it. I'm not looking for it, right? But I think I try my best to stay present without trying to, what does it look like? Just by fucking being present. By not thinking about what I have to do after.
Right.
What's coming, like
the open heart listening.
The open heart listening.
Right? Like just listening to listen.
What it looks like is flipping my phone over, right? So I'm not distracted. It's like just really trying to be in an active, listening, open heart process.
Yeah.
And it sounds very hippy dippy and shit like that, but it's like just shut up and pay attention. That's what all that hippy dippy shit is.
That's the short version.
It's like shut up and listen.
Yeah.
And listen without responding.
Right.
Just listen.
Right.
And that's
getting out of the loops in my head.
Yeah. What am I going to say to what they're saying?
Right. The planning, what I'm going to say next, the trying to manage from the inside. Right.
Yeah. What would it require for me is no distraction and intention. I have to be hungry. I have to be fed. And I can't be thirsty. And I can't have to go to the bathroom. If I have those, it's going to be hard for me to listen. Right. So that's something that would be required of me is, hey, give me a second. Let me run to the restroom.
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Making sure that I can put everything down, if it's in my head, in my heart, or in my body, to put this shit down, right?
For me, the acronym HALT comes into play here: hungry, angry, lonely, tired, right? Making sure that if I'm tired, I'm super distractible, and I'm more emotionally vulnerable to feeling bad when there's no reason to feel bad. When I'm angry, I can't function at all. I need to stop and address what it is I'm angry about. And when I'm hungry, just like you said, and I I don't feel lonely that often. Lonely's not a big one for me, but it's in that acronym, HALT, hungry, angry, lonely, tired.
You know, it's funny, what would it look like to stay present without trying to manage the outcome? As you were talking, my mind got distracted. I said, wow, it's nice to record in here, not be fucking freezing. Right?
Distracted, but it's true. It is nice to be comfortable. I agree.
That's another thing. I would need to be comfortable. If I'm not comfortable,
yes,
I'm very distracted.
Yes. Yes, if I'm freezing or I'm hot or whatever.
Yeah. It's very. Yeah. I was like, wait a second, I'm not cold. Well, I'm a little chilly. Oh wow!
All right. Question number 8. What is one situation this week where we can practice releasing control, even slightly? Not all of it, just enough to notice what happens. Where can you allow something to unfold without stepping in to manage it?
I would say that happened yesterday. I had the opportunity to connect with someone in conversation and in a scene, and like it was because the intention, or at least the ideal, was all I had in mind was a rope scene. I didn't have in mind what came before, what came after, stuff like that. And it was like, well, you know what? Let's just see what happens. Rope scene or not, like that wasn't even discussed until an hour and a half into conversation. And it was like, I don't need a certain outcome. I just want to be present.
Yeah. Well, that's what safety gives me, right? If I'm feeling safe, I don't have to know the outcome. I don't have to know what's going to happen because I know I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like it's that alarmed, activated, I don't know what's going to happen. I have to kind of control or try to do something to make everything okay. For me, the control comes by way of feeling like there's something, I feel that impulse to have to change or do something in order to make something okay, as if it's not okay now, right? Safety for me feels like everything's okay. It's going to be okay no matter what.
Yeah.
You know, another one of those sayings is like knowing that whatever's happening is happening for me and not to me.
Yeah.
Right? That I'm just all right.
And that's to live by. That's to grab when the uncertainty kicks in. It's like, it's not happening to me, it's happening for me. Yeah. So let's go into question review for month 6, control and safety. The first set of questions is around awareness and orientation. Question number 1, where do I control outcomes to relax?
Question 2, what do I do when I don't know what's next?
Question 3, where do I confuse predictability with safety?
And question 4, who do I become when I feel out of control?
Set 2 is deeper introspection and integration. Question number 5 is, what has control cost me in connection?
Question 6, where do I tighten instead of communicate?
Number 7, what would it look like to stay present without control?
And finally, where can I release control this week? Most people think that they need to feel safe before they let go of control. But often, letting go slightly is what reveals whether safety is actually there.
And this is why doing this work alone is so difficult. Because you can see your patterns, but it's much harder to interrupt them without structure, without reflection, without real-time conversation.
And that's why we created Conscious Conversations. Every Tuesday night, we take questions like these, we take these exact questions, and bring them into a live, guided space where you can reflect, speak, listen, notice your patterns, and begin shifting how you actually show up right there on the call.
Right there on the call.
Right? It's for people who want deeper connection, more honesty, more clarity, and a place to practice being real.
Yeah. No, it's incredible. It's incredible. We had the other one 2 nights ago.
Yeah.
And for $30 a month, it's very accessible. It's a place to stay in the work. You get weekly structure, you get reflection, you get the repetition, you get the reps in. You also get community.
And for people who want more support, the Integration Circle is there too. That gives you Tuesday, the Conscious Conversations, a private WhatsApp group, and a monthly live session with us, where you can process what's coming up for you and get help integrating what you're learning and what you're working with and leaning into.
Yeah, I think the Q&A part is going to be probably one of the most powerful pieces, where we get together for 1 hour a month and just to talk where you're at.
Yeah.
Because breakthroughs are great, but consistency is what changes your life.
So here's something to sit with this week. If you can't relax without control, you may not actually be at ease. You may just be very practiced at managing. And the more you manage, the less you experience, right? So instead of asking, do I have this under control? Start asking, can I stay present even if I don't?
Yeah, that's a hard one, man. That's a
Right.
hard one. Here's a preview of what we have coming up. Next week, we're going to go even deeper into trust and vulnerability. Not the idea of trust and not the performance of vulnerability, but what it actually takes to let your guard down without abandoning yourself.
Because once you loosen control, you're left with the real question. Can I let myself be seen without protecting myself first?
And we're going to zoom out a little bit. This whole month is about safety. But what we're really building is your ability to stay with yourself in connection.
Next month, we're going to move into the mirror. Here, see how your triggers, reactions, judgments, and repeated patterns are often pointing back to something in you. Not to blame yourself, not to overanalyze, but to understand yourself more honestly.
And since the reframe, over the next year, this work is just going to keep building. We do it every Tuesday, not just towards better relationships, but toward becoming someone who can stay present, who can communicate clearly, who can take responsibility, who learns how to move slower, to choose more wisely, and to build grounded and honest connection.
New episodes drop every Friday, and the work continues inside Conscious Conversations every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time.
We'll see you in the conversation. Awesome, Mama. Thank you, Instagram. So let's bring you guys a little closer.
Oh, good. It's 8:30.
Yes, Mom. You see how good I am? You see how good I am?
You are good.
Boop. Let's flip you over. Bam.
Oh, hi, Instagram.
So that was fun.
Yeah. I'm looking to see if there were any